just a couple of weeks. So we'll check back with you momentarily. And later, SLU's human spirit correspondent Helen Avery will tell us all about how lunar eclipses have been viewed throughout history. And if you got any questions at all for our guests, you can tweet them to @SLU on Twitter or join in our live chat on Facebook. I'll be right back with more from Paul Cox, so don't go away.
This February, a ring of fire will rise over planet Earth. Millions will be plunged into the moon's shadow as it races across the planet at supersonic speeds. The annular eclipse will make its way across South America, through Chile and Argentina, before crossing the Atlantic Ocean, making landfall in Africa, casting Angola, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Zambia into shadow. On February 26th, explore an eclipse like you never have before. Be a part of this worldwide event, right here on SLU. Space for everyone.
And we are back, everybody, and take a look at that gorgeous shot courtesy of our wide field telescope in the Canary Islands. It's the snow moon eclipse, penumbral lunar eclipse, and we are just minutes away from maximum eclipse, and that's going to be something to see. And I'm joined once again by our SLU astronomer and friend, Paul Cox. And Paul, we touched on it earlier. But why is it that we don't see more lunar eclipses, like every month, for instance?
Well, yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Because you'd think about the sun and the earth and the moon lining up every single month. The moon orbits the earth once a month. And lunar eclipses, of course, only occur at a full moon, when the moon is opposite the earth from the sun. So you think, oh, why not? Why doesn't it always pass within Earth's shadow? But of course, what we've got to remember is that the orbit of the moon around the Earth is actually inclined by just over 5 degrees. So most of the time, the moon, when it's full, is passing either above or below the Earth's shadow. So that's why we don't see it every single month.
As you can see, we are just over 2 minutes from maximum eclipse. Now, Paul, do lunar eclipses and solar eclipses have anything to do with each other?
Well, they do, because that very same geometry that lines up the sun, the earth, and the moon in a lunar eclipse, if you can imagine 2 weeks later or 2 weeks before, the moon is on the other side of the earth. In other words, a new moon between the sun and the earth. And that's what causes a solar eclipse. So they usually happen. They don't always, but they usually happen. You usually have a lunar eclipse either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after a solar eclipse. This one It's before. And we've got our annular, our ring of fire eclipse in 2 weeks' time that we're going to be covering. So yes, they are associated always.
Oh, I cannot wait for that, by the way, just a couple of weeks away. All right, just about a minute away here. We're using, again, Paul, we're using our wide field telescope. Can you explain exactly what that is and how we're able to get that spectacular shot?
Well, the wide field telescope is doing just what it says. It gives us a very wide field of view, which is perfect. Actually, this telescope is best at doing very large galaxies like the Andromeda Galaxy or the Triangulum Galaxy, or very large nebulae like the North American Nebula. So that's what SLU members use this telescope for most of the time. But as you can see, it also gives us this very wide field view. So we can see the entire moon all in one image. Our high magnification telescope in Chile, which is going to be coming online any minute, actually, we'll see some live images coming in straight from that a little bit later. That gives us a far higher magnification, so we can zoom in on some of the craters, but we will still see this great shadow of the penumbral shadow of Earth enveloping the Earth tonight.
Well, we are 8, 7, 6 seconds away from maximum eclipse. And Paul, you mentioned it earlier. It is subtle, isn't it?
It is. It's very subtle. A lot of people will tell you, don't bother watching a penumbral eclipse. But the images that we're getting in tonight, live from the observatories, are very, very similar to how you would see it if you're watching yourself. Now, if you are watching yourself, and it's not too late, by the way, we'll tell people a little bit later on in the show how they can do that. It is best with a pair of binoculars. But the fact that it happens so slowly, that's the main problem, Jerry, that, you know, it's difficult to tell these subtle changes. But if you look away, maybe pop inside and have a cup of coffee or some hot chocolate, and there we've got the Chile telescope coming online, and look at that. Right in that top left-hand corner, you can see how shaded it is. You can see just the gradient going across the whole moon. So anyway, if you pop in, have a coffee, then come back outside, you're very, very likely to notice that subtle shading has enveloped a little bit more of the moon.
Or you could really, really see it in this shot, Paul. You're right. That's really incredible.
Now, if your Chile is roughly the same time zone as people on the east coast of America, so the moon has just risen in Chile. We've only just opened the Chile Observatory, and it's just in time for the moon to rise. It's actually rising halfway during the eclipse. So we're actually going to be following the second half of the eclipse using that very telescope, the Chile High Magnification Telescope, which, by the way, Jerry, I've only just come back from Chile.